Right. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. Waalaikumsalam, Sister Afsana, Khalid Bashir. Will it be fine if I ask a question while waiting? All right. Okay. The question is, I have a question. I hope it's related to Islamic metaphysics. Does the order of nature or the cosmos depend on the interior order of man's soul? And is our understanding of the cosmos secularized? All right, I will just answer briefly since we want to start the class, the reading. Okay, I think does the order of nature or the cosmos depend on the internal? I think it's the other way around. All right, the order of nature of the cosmos, all right, is reflected in the soul. All right, it corresponds with the degrees of the level of the cosmos correspond with the degrees of the level of the human soul. All right, for example, physical, our body has correspondence with the physical realm, and then our in between, all right, or you would say the psychological state has correspondence. I mean, with the, or is it, or it's the other way around? All right, the level of the barzah, all right, is reflected, or you can say corresponds. Okay, corresponds meaning there's a two-way relationship. But if you say but basically uh the the objective, I mean, sorry, the source or the basis is the cosmos, all right, and it is reflected in the human soul. So the barzah, which is the intermediate realm, and it corresponds with the intermediate nature or realm of the human soul, which is the psychological state. And then the human ruh, or the spiritual, ruhani, spiritual, all right, you can say it corresponds with the spiritual realm of the cosmos. All right. So, and is our understanding of the cosmos secularized? Yes, definitely. Now, modern cosmology is very different, all right, from traditional cosmology. For one, all right, it doesn't talk about, you can say, God as how we study it, all right, and then also, I mean, the source of the cosmos, all right, if uh, definitely, all right, in relation to uh, the source being God, and at the metaphysical level, that the degrees of existence that we are studying now, all right, it is not you would say accepted, all right, or discussed in modern cosmology. Modern cosmology meaning that the secularization of cosmology. And they talk basically, when you say modern um cosmology right now, all right, it's basically the, how you would say, they study it in terms of um, just looking at the scientific, all right, the just the scientific view, not the metaphysical, all right. And they look at cosmology, basically modern cosmology is basically like, you know, astronomy, very quantitative, all right. They do not look, for example, at the metaphysical level. It's more at the physical science level, all right. So definitely, all right, the understanding of the cosmos now, all right, is secularized. Okay, so that's my brief answer. I mean, of course, you know, we can have a long discussion about this, but it is not possible at this point in time. All right, so Alhamdulillah, we can start the class now, continue the reading. We stopped at uh, page
207.
278. Yeah, page 278. All right, that first paragraph there, up page 278. Where's the... Oh, okay. And that last here, at the lower degrees of the ontological levels. All right, that's where we ended. So we continue. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, the absolute existence in the highest degree of absoluteness does not require anything, being sufficient unto himself and needing no other whatever. All right, that stage where they say alone. But his names and attributes, which become apparent to him at the lower degrees of the ontological levels, require their realities to be realized in their respective manifestation forms. Madhar or madahir, the plural, whether such manifestation forms pertain to the invisible world or to the visible world. All right, so the manifestations of a absolute being, all right, which is the lower level of where being is manifested, all right, into various and infinite forms. Here the manifestation forms, all right, if we notice, the translation is the manifestation forms, all right, is madahir. Determinations is ta'ayyud. All right, whether such manifestation forms pertain to the invisible world or to the visible world. All right, we, in Islamic metaphysics, there is the lowest level being the physical, but above is invisible. All right, the alamul ghaib, alam shahada, alamul ghaib, Quranic term. So the absolute existence, all right, of determination, taking on madahir, manifestation forms at the lower levels of existence. And here he says that will never be able to actualize their positive nature. For without their manifestation forms, the realities will never be able to actualize their positive nature. All right, in the sense that only the manifestation forms, all right, represent the positive nature of absolute existence. Here, if you see the footnote 306, all right, what does that mean? Will never be able to actualize their positive nature. All right, footnote 306, some realities have a negative nature, meaning they are non-existent, all right, Adam, non-existent. They have no manifestation forms, all right, they are not being manifested that can actualize them into external existence. All right, perhaps we can just see the short explanation of this. See chapter 6, pages 258 to 259. All right, so just here, Prof explain what do you mean by this positive and negative nature. 258, all right. I think for our purpose here to understand, all right, in the context of that statement by Prof, we start at day, where it's 258. Okay, day. After the word batina, all right, they are contraries to those forms of the divine names. All right, talking about the negative nature. that cannot be manifested, all right, taking on the manifestation forms, the madahir. These manifestation forms are of positive nature. So here he is saying they are contraries of those forms of the divine names that come under the circumspective sway of the principal name, the outwardly manifest. All right, as zahir. This positive nature is the outwardly manifest. Negative nature, all right, the batin, cannot be manifested because they are interior. So here, which are evolved into exterior, all right, I think there's a typo there, there's no OR, which are evolved into exterior or manifestation in existence, all right? Only the outwardly manifest can be, can exist, all right? I mean, those which exist are those which exist, all right, are the exterior manifestations, all right, and that pertains to the outwardly manifest. And here referring to the, if in the context of the previous, all right, statement, it reflects the divine names, the outwardly manifest, all right. So only that which are evolved into exterior or manifestation in existence, being the reverse of the exterior forms, it is not possible for the interior forms to receive the effusion. That is, in this case, the most holy effusion, Al-Faid Al-Attas, that would evolve them into exterior manifestation. All right, so the interior forms, they do not have, or you would say they cannot exist as madahir, all right, because they are, they relate back to the interior, all right, or the batin. So they cannot be manifested. What can be manifested is only the exterior. And here, remember, we already mentioned about that at the level, all right, at each level here, at least in the first and second degree of determination, there is the exterior and the interior. I mean the interior, and the exterior. The interior being higher, all right, because the exterior depends on the interior. The articulations, all right, of the determinations, what do you, is it the word begin, all right, at the interior level, okay, the batin. It's like if, for example, you have a thought, all right, it's still at the level of your mind. But once you act out that thought or you act out that idea, then it becomes exteriorized, all right? But originally, it was interior. Interior in the sense that it's in the mind. And it doesn't have external existence, right? That idea you have in your mind, it doesn't have. Only you know it. And that idea is already articulated. It is not from a mind which is empty. If you can say here empty, if a thought, all right, grows in your mind, so that will be already something, an articulation. But it is not. It remains there in your interior state, which is in your mind, until, all right, it is exteriorized. And that is, you can say, the forms, the madahir, the the exterior, the external forms, all right, or the manifested forms. All right, if for example you have an idea of making you have an idea of a gadget, for example, with certain features, all right, it's in your mind, but once you, for example, produce it, then it has external existence, and that is the manifested form of the idea you have in your mind. All right, you can use that analogy. So here it says that the distinction between this class of impossibilities, okay, maybe we start, being the reverse of the exterior forms, it is not possible for the interior forms to receive the effusion. It's not possible. It's interior. That is, in this case, the most holy effusion that would evolve them into exterior manifestation. The distinction between this class of impossibilities and the class whose mode of being or existence is designated as pure non-existence or Adam Mahat, is that the latter, being the forms of the divine names that come under the circumspective sway of the principal name, the outwardly manifest, can receive the most holy effusion that would evolve them into exterior manifestation. Whereas the forms of the former, which are by nature inwardly hidden, all right, cannot receive the effusion that could evolve them to outward manifestation. Only the possibles, which are the forms of the divine names that come under the sway of the principal name, the outwardly manifest, receive the effusion. Both the most holy and the holy that evolve them to outward manifestations and external existence. Okay, so basically, you know, that would just for you working understanding of what that sentence means about the positive nature of these manifested forms. All right, so basically he is saying that only the what is the exact term here? All right, 258. The outwardly manifest can be exteriorized or can be manifested, all right, as forms, madahir. Not the inwardly manifest, which is hidden. Okay, only the outwardly manifest, the zahir, can receive, all right, the process of the holy effusion, the al-faid al-aqdas, or later the most holy effusion, al-faid al-aqdas, and then the holy effusion, al-faid al-muqaddas, can, all right, you can say operate on the outwardly manifest, not the inwardly, not the inward, all right, outwardly manifest. The inward cannot be manifested. So, like if, for example, the analogy we have to fine tune it about the idea in the human mind. All right, so not all ideas, they are in our mind. All right, so but because we must have that level of outwardly manifest and inward, so perhaps things which pertain to not, which are basically our innermost our innermost secret, all right, or that which cannot be manifested at all. All right, that we, and therefore, if we look at, all right, this is an analogy, all right, because finally all analogies break down. So I would say for, for us to make things clearer, this Al-Faid Al-Attas here, I would look at it as the process, all right, the thinking process, things, the thinking process, and then converting those ideas, all right, for example, you can say we can articulate those ideas. When you articulate those ideas, they are in written form. So they have external existence, right? When you have an idea and then you write it down, that is one level of existence. And then after writing it down, and then you try to work on it. For example, you write this, you have a blueprint of things, blueprint of a thing, all right, you describe it and all that, all right, you have a plan. And then you work on the plan. But perhaps there are other ideas which you just cannot articulate it. And therefore it remains in your mind. All right? It remains in your mind, and therefore it doesn't have external existence. All right? The existence is only, it only is in your mind. Okay? So here, that's why it says positive nature and negative nature. All right, so you do not manifest. And here, if you, as to the essence, and here Prof mentioned that those which can be manifested, outwardly manifested, are in relation to contingent beings. All right, the mumkinat, which basically are all the possible beings that exist in this world. Okay, so, okay, now we go back to that sentence. Page 278, right? He says here, the footnote 306, which we looked at just now, page 258 to 259. But we return back to page 278, where he was explaining, okay? Where is the footnote? Okay, here, where he talks about, for without their manifestation forms, the realities will never be able to actualize their positive nature. All right. The realities of the names and attributes can only become positive by being actualized in their manifestation forms. This actualization is effected by the self-revelation, all right, tajalli. This is another term, all right, that we coming across. Determinations, all right, the ta'ayyun, and individuations, singular ta'ayyun, determinations and individuations of the absolute existence in them, that is, in their forms, by being actualized in their manifestation forms. So the madahir basically is the manifestation forms. All right. When you say they are being determined, all right, or you would say affected by the self-revelation, all right, that is still their nature, but the madahir is basically the actualized forms. The madahir. All right. So we continue here. This, in them there is because every one of the realities is distinct from the other, and each one of them contains all its future states to be manifested in sequential order, his self-revelations in them are never repeated in the same in the same forms. All right. So take note of that. Every one of the realities is distinct from the other, and each one of them contains all its future states to be manifested in sequential order. His self-revelations in them are never repeated in the same forms. This further manifestation of the absolute existence in the lower degrees of the ontological levels takes place by means of another effusion of his existence called the holy effusion, al-faid al-muqaddas. So 2 levels. All right. First, manifestation or determination. All right, determination and individuation, and through the outwardly manifest nature, all right, or of being, okay, can taking on the madahir, all right, through self-revelation, and you would say determination, because at that level being is determined, all right, or individuated, or you can say revealed, all right, self-revelation, tajalli, all right. So here, perhaps, okay, let's, and this process is al-faid al-muqaddas. So what's the difference? Okay, the difference is that this is more, you can say, I mean, my own view, I mean, my own choice of word is more fine-tuning, all right, or tafsili, meaning more detailed, all right. Here, what it means is that his self-revelation in them are never repeated. Okay, so they are never repeated, and they take on the form which contains which contain revelations of future states, all right. There are in them self-revelations are never repeated in the same forms, all right, because why? One, they are distinct from each other, okay, and the other part is that in the sense that takes place, and one of them contains all its future states to be manifested in sequential order. All right, how to make this abstract idea more concrete? Okay, so I would think in the sense that, you know, even in relation to human beings, they are distinct. All right, that's already at the higher level. They are distinct, but they are manifest. That is already at the what do you call, the madahir, the manifested forms. All right, but then at this further level, all right, which I would say of more fine tuning, okay, within one human being, okay, within one human being, there are these infinite states, all right, or here he just says future states. Within that one human being are contained your future states, for example. So, and therefore, it's never the same. It's distinct from another human being, and in a way, distinct from even that specific human being. And why is that? Because of the future states that are contained in that human being, that specific human being. In the sense, for example, like if you take that example, from the state of fetus, all right, or even before that, the egg, before, and then the conception, and then the fetus, and then, you know, no, in the womb, what is it called, fetus or zygote or whatever, and then being, and then delivered, baby, toddler, and all the future states right up to old age. So that if you can say that that egg, all right, or that fetus contains in itself in its future states of development of itself as a human being. All right, so therefore, this is what what is meant, repeated in the same self-revelation in them are never repeated in the same forms. It's never repeated. At whatever level stage of life you are in, all right, then you go on and go on and go on, all right, until physical death. Remember, physical death is another, after physical death, there's another stage. Okay, so at least, until this level, okay, that we say. So that is what is meant, because every one of the realities is distinct from the other, and each one of them contains all its future states to be manifested in sequential order. So here, just to relate back, okay, when you say about evolution, this is the Islamic understanding of evolution. All right, but it is not like me going into another, the human species becoming or evolving to another species. Or you would say before, to make it simple, they say the human species evolved from ape. No, the apes will be the apes, and they have their own process and stages of evolution. But the human, we do evolve. All right, so don't mistake about that. It's not that we are static. We evolve. But that evolution, all right, is already in the species, is in that distinct form, all right, within that species of the individual, for example, is already in there. And all this is in the mind of God. All right, and this is the what do you call the outwardly manifest. Okay, then so okay, I think we have explained that. But this further manifestation of the absolute existence in the lower degrees of the ontological levels takes place by means of another effusion, which is called al-faid al-muqaddas. So thus far, we have summarized in brief the ontological levels of the first to the third determinations of the absolute existence, which correspond to the second, third, and fourth degrees of existence. These are first the degrees of unity, then of the names and attributes. All right, degrees of unity, the wahda. Then the names and attributes, the asma was sifat, and then the al-a'yan al-thabita, and of the permanent archetypes. All right, the second, third, and fourth degrees of existence. Remember, the first degree is not manifested. All right, it is totally in the state of inward. Okay, or in fact, and therefore we can never know. All right, it's beyond human cognition. So each of these degrees, like the first prior to them, is characterized by having aspects of interiority and exteriority. All right, I've mentioned that. The interior, the batin, and the exterior, the zahir. It is at the stage of the exterior aspect of the fourth degree, that of the archetypes, that the holy effusion takes place. All right, the fourth, that of the archetypes, meaning the al-a'yan al-thabita. The following diagram follows in sequence the one shown on page 274 above. Okay, so basically page 274, top part, all right, starting from ultimate reality, the essence, which is existence, and then absolute oneness, which is an abstract oneness, abstract level, unmanifested, undetermined, all right, totally absolute. And here the process is most holy effusion, page 274, all right, non-condition, non-manifestation, that's the first degree, okay. And but it has the interior aspect, the absolute aspect, okay. But remember, at that higher level of essence, okay, still, okay, it is, you would say, which is existence, here what we mean by totally, here still we can talk about it because it is still at the level of existence, in the sense that the essence, its essence is still existence, all right, but at the level of non-being or beyond being, in the sense that level of beyond existence and beyond being, that, you know, we cannot talk about. So then at the next level, which is page 279, okay, then we continue, we go to, from the most holy effusion, there is the interior and exterior, interior, exterior, okay, interior, exterior. And that second degree, from the first degree in page 274 just now, is the divine unity, which is the second degree, all right, which is, you would say, wahidiyah, right? And then which is, we can go back to page, which page was that? Page 275. Oneness, sorry, not wahidiyah, wahdah. All right, I always get this mixed up. All right, oneness, wahdah. Then only wahidiyah, unity. Okay, page 275. Okay, and then, so divine unity will be wahidiyah. The state of wahdah will be that page 274. Okay, the oneness. Second, divine unity, wahidiyah. And then the names and attributes, the third degree. The permanent, the names and attributes, third degree, which is the, and then the permanent archetypes, the fourth degree. Okay, you just remember unity. You know, you can, you know, now with all this help of AI, you can make this diagram very nicely and make them in one place, not separate here, just like in separate places. Okay, wahdah, oneness, that's the page 274, that first degree. Then the second degree is unity, wahidiyah. Okay, and then the third degree, the names and attributes. Then the fourth degree, the permanent archetypes, which are the al-a'yan al-thabita. So and then you go and see on the right side, there's the which page? Okay. The first determination, all right. Second determination, third determination. All right. And the whole process is the holy effusion. Okay. So here, let's continue. Each of the degrees. All right. So we have read and then he has shown in this diagram. So each of these degrees, like the first prior to them, is characterized by having aspects of interiority and exteriority. All right, we have read that. The contents of this holy effusion of existence, all right, below this chart here, the contents of this holy effusion of existence at the stage of the exterior aspect of the archetypes and in relation to the interior aspects are the passive recipients of all potentialities inherent in the permanent archetypes, whose future states are consecutively being actualized through the mediacy of the exterior aspect of the archetypes, al-a'yan al-kharijiyah. All right, so remember this permanent archetypes, it has the interior and the exterior aspect. The exterior aspect, all right, is the al-a'yan al-kharijiyah. Okay, so in relation to the interior aspect are the passive recipients of all potentialities inherent in the permanent archetypes. So in the permanent archetypes, there is the interior, all right, which is basically here is the potentialities, recipients of all potentialities. Inherent in the permanent archetypes, whose future states are consecutively being actualized through the mediacy of the exterior aspect, all right, al-a'yan al-kharijiyah. Since the interior aspect of the permanent archetypes are active determinants of all possible existence, in relation to which is consequent to them, the corresponding exterior aspect of the archetypes, which are passive recipients of what is antecedent to them, meaning before them or prior to them, contain all the positive, contingent, and creaturely manifestations of the absolute existence. In relation to what is consequent to them, however, the exterior aspect of the archetypes are active evolvers of the actualization of the potentialities inherent in the permanent archetypes, in accordance with the requirements of all their future states, each actualization following upon another in consecutive order, such that each one is something similar, something different, something new from the one preceding it. All right, see chapter 6, pages 254 and 255. So basically, interior, exterior. Interior, all right, constitutes all the potentialities. All right, they are the recipients of all of the potentialities of the permanent archetypes. And then the exterior basically actualizes what is potential, all right, in the permanent, in the interior aspect of the permanent archetypes. And this, the exterior aspect, all right, which basically then where the actualization of the potentialities in the interior aspect of the permanent archetypes are the external or the harijiyah. All right, the exterior archetypes. Okay, is it clear? So what contained in them, all right, what are contained, don't get too depressed or upset, or when you cannot get at the first grasp, all right, don't worry. You will have to, it takes time, all right, to absorb all this. Okay, so anyway, I suppose unless you you have a very astute mind or intuitive knowledge, you can get it at first grasp. All right, but remember here we are still doing discursive thinking. All right, so therefore, we will go step by step. All right, somebody who's intuitive, all right, whose intuitive faculty is sharp can just grasp it like that. But still, even though can be grasped intuitively, but still when you want to explain, all right, or think about it discursively and logically, and in fact you want to articulate it, it takes, a step-by-step process. All right. So here, what basically is contained, because these all potentialities in that permanent archetypes, the potentialities of actualization, potentialities of future states of actualization also, they are all within that permanent archetypes. Like I mentioned, from the state of the fetus, all right, to adult, it's all contained in the permanent archetype. That's why I think last week I mentioned that there is that perfect you in that the perfect you, the blueprint, all right, or the archetype of you yourself, all right, if right now. And that's what I say, that is basically the quest, the human quest, for us to arrive, to go, in a sense, all right, go back to that original state of perfection. Okay, I will answer the questions later, all right, if you don't mind. What did I say just now? See, yes. Okay, so that we have to return back. You see, when we say return, all right, when we say inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, what do we mean by that? So here is the explanation. Okay, in the sense that, of course, we return back to our Creator. But what does that mean explicitly, all right, in terms of metaphysical, at the metaphysical, all right, and existential level? What does it mean, returning back to God, the Creator? All right, so basically here, this is what it means, that, okay, we go back to that permanent archetype of ourselves at that stage of permanent archetypes, all right, of ourselves, because it's at that level there is the madahir and the distinct, all right, the creaturely and contingent level, right, at that level. So when you say that you want to return at that stage, okay, of ourselves, and that stage of ourselves also represent, for example, humanity, meaning as a human being, but also as an individual. You know, Megawati is a human being, Megawati is an individual. All right, so that is what we mean by returning back to the original state. There is, because when you return, all right, when you return, there must be something, all right, a state, all right, or you would say a mazhar, a locus, they call it, all right? A locus where we are not locus, meaning not in terms of just space and time, all right? But here at level of being, we are returning to that. And that level, since it is at the higher divine level, all right, of God's manifestation, which is really in his being. All right, sometimes philosophers say in God's knowledge or in God's mind, they say, or at the level of the divine intellect, whatever term, all right, that is, you are going back to that. When you say you return, you must say return to what? That's why people misunderstand when they talk about, you know, the concept of union with God. All right, especially at the stage of, you know, Sufism, they call it the state of fana and baka. All right, or, you know, the misunderstanding of what is shatahat or shatahiyat, right? Meaning that all these ecstatic utterances where, for example, like Al-Hallaj say, Ana ul-Haq. Here, what he is saying that, all right, he has removed all the limitations of being in this physical world of space and time, and this world of limitation, all right, is the one which, in a sense, has affected the soul or our character. So you remove all that, therefore he says that he's going back to that state of al-haq. Because where do you find the permanent archetypes? But in God. All right, which is at this, to be more specific here, okay, at the fourth degree of existence, permanent archetypes. All right, even then, all right, and then the harijia, the actualization. And this actualization process, all right, it's continuous renewal. And I think, like Prof mentioned, it is new, it is the same yet different. What does that mean? All right, in a sense of the evolvement, the identity, all right, the thing is, you are coming from the same archetype, but it's different. You know, that fetus, for example, to give an analogy again, it contains all what you are, your future state of becoming, of being a baby, of a toddler, of a teenager, everything is contained in it, but it's different. It is at the level of fetus, but then, so when you go to the next stage, it's a different state, but there's something also, it's new or different, but there's also something which is old and which in a way is, you would say, abiding, it's the same. Okay, so this is basically how the process is. So, you know, this metaphysics, there's so many, all the implications that we can think of. If you have many questions, all right, in life, you go back to metaphysics, all right, then you can answer these questions. This also in relation to, for example, the theological question of qada and qadar or takdir. So in the sense, like, right, you know, your future, your destiny is already known. It's already known. It's already, like they say, it's already written in the Lawh Mahfuz. All right, it's known. But then you will say, what happens to dua? If you say that, oh, you can't change. Well, that's already taken into account already. That's already taken into account. But here, at the level of ourselves, all right, we can still act. That's why it's active. We ourselves are active in this process. We are, in a sense, the potentialities, we are recipients, all right, the potentialities, therefore, what you would say, passive in that sense of receiving the potentialities or possibilities from the active, meaning, the divine, at that level of necessity. But we are also active in the sense that, even we are looking at the process of our development, all right, from evolution. Of course, when, for example, taking on the example again of from a baby, okay, there's that nature aspect, that one external, okay, your parents. All right, that's why they say parents are significant. You can say because they are the one who nurture you. But once you already, have reached the level of discernment and independence, all right, then you are the active. You are the active determiner of your future, right? And that's why in the modern age, they think that, everything is within our control. And therefore, they absolutely believe in causality. We believe in causality, but a causality which follows the divine pattern. Here, or theologically, they say the ada, the norm, right, of how Allah will act, the sunnatullah. So basically, here at the metaphysical level, you can find the explanation in the sense that we are the passive recipients. We are still passive in the sense of the potentialities that Allah has in terms of the evolvement of being. Okay, so if we understand this whole process, okay, we can at least try, all right, to we have an idea. We have an idea of all the theological, all right, and then you can go to the philosophical, then the political, the economic, the social, and the individual, because everything goes back, all right, to this concept of being. Okay, so now, okay, that is just in relation to the implication. Now we go back to what we have, this harijia. So I have basically summarized, okay, the long sentence which Prof. Al-Attas, all right, wrote. I've taken liberty to give my commentary, all right, to those long sentences. But basically, this is what it means, all right. Okay, here, in relation to what is consequent to them, however, the exterior aspect of the archetypes are active evolvers of the actualization of the potentialities inherent in the permanent archetypes, in accordance with the requirements of all the future states. Each actualization following upon another in consecutive order, such that each one is something similar, something different, something new from the one preceding it. All right. Then there's a footnote there. See chapter 6, pages 254 to 55. All right. Never mind. We'll not look at that footnote yet, because we can understand, you know, at this stage without looking at the footnote. I mean, that footnote will explain in more detail. All right. So this level marks the fourth determination of the absolute existence. Okay, the fourth determination, which is below. Where is it? So fourth of the absolute existence, which corresponds to the fifth degree of existence. The sixth and last degree of existence is the level of the fifth determination of the absolute existence. It is the manifestation in detail of the preceding degree and is the realm of the empirical world, the world of sense and sensible experience, wherein contingency, imkan, is the invariable condition. The diagram below follows in sequence the one on page 279 above. All right, here I have to qualify. When I gave you the analogy just now about, you know, the fetus, and then, you know, the different stages that a human being goes through, it is at this level, the sixth degree. But in terms of the analogy, all right, that I elaborated just now, is to explain to you the process. Because when we talk about already the six, when we talk about the baby, you know, and then the human being, it is already the sixth and last degree of existence, which is, we are talking about the empirical world, the world of sense. But when I was talking about the process of the permanent archetype actualizing into the the exterior archetype, all right, in relation to the human being, it was the process that I wanted, the process which I use, all right, to explain, you know, the stage of permanent archetype and external archetype. I hope you know what I mean, because that's the only thing I can use, analogies which only exist at the empirical world. All right, when you talk about the different stages of human development. Okay, so I want to make it clear, okay, that stage is not how the process takes place in terms of the future states, all right, at the level of the human permanent archetype, is something like that. All right, how the analogy that I use. Okay, so we have come to our level now. This level where we can talk about it, can sense, can hear, can feel, can taste, can touch, can see. All right, the five senses. From that level, okay, from the previous level. So, again, you know, I like to think of analogies so that we can explain and make things better. But remember, analogies are not really very, you know, like I say, they break down because they are not the reality itself. But it allows us to give an understanding of what it means. If, for example, like we said, that egg in the mother's womb, and when it is delivered. All right, here, of course, with technology, they use the scan, they can see what's inside, all right, the mother's womb at, you know, different stages of pregnancy, all right. But that's still the interior. The interior aspect, right? It hasn't come out as a full-born baby yet. So you can use that analogy also interior in terms of the interior aspect and the exterior aspect. Okay, and the process of it, all right, manifesting. In a sense, it's already manifested, the egg, all right, after conception, the manifested, already the egg itself is manifestation. So that's why I say it's already at that level, okay? But still not, you can say it's already externalized. All right, and it is already, in a sense, at the stage of outwardly manifest, but before, if you can say the fetus or the egg before the stage of in the mother's womb, is it non-existent? All right, so here it is still existence, because in the sense that it's all being. All right, it's just not manifested. And in the level of the divine names of attributes, okay, and before that, in terms of unity, the articulations are already there in the divine being. But you can see the process. Then finally, okay, the baby, you know, we can, the baby is a what do you say, an object, all right, or an entity which can be sensed in the sense from the 5 external senses. All right, I hope it's clear, okay, the analogy. So here, this is the 6th and the last degree. This 6th and last degree of existence, this level marks the 4th determination of the absolute, which corresponds to the 5th degree of existence, okay? The 6th and last degree of existence is the level of the 5th determination of absolute existence. And this is the degree of existence which we are so familiar with. We are living in this existence, at this level of existence, at this level of existence, which it is the manifestation in detail of the preceding degree, and is the realm of the empirical world, the world of sense and sensible experience, wherein contingency is the invariable condition. All right, so the mumkin is, this is at the level. Okay. The diagram below follows in sequence the one on page 279 above. So it's just, you know, a sequence. So the process, the holy effusion. From the exterior archetypes with the 5th degree. Okay, the 4th and 5th is in a way, all right, the 4th, the permanent archetypes. The 5th is the exterior archetypes. Basically, the actualization of the interior aspect, which is at the level of the 5th degree, which is the permanent archetype. Remember, it is still not yet, all right, it has still, you can say, in a sense, it exists, or in God's mind, but it has not existed yet in this physical level of existence, which is this world of sense, all right, the sensorial world. And so then 5th degree is the al-ayan al-kharijiyah, okay, Then the last, which is the empirical world, which is the sixth degree. Okay. Then on the right is the fourth determination and the fifth determination. All right. And here again, interior, exterior, interior, exterior. Then we continue. We said earlier that the names and attributes of divinity require their realities to be realized in their respective manifestation forms, the madahir. From the linguistic point of view, madhar means locus of manifestation, not of the thing manifested. All right? Madhar means the locus or a place of manifestation, not of the thing manifested. All right? It is like a mirror, which is the locus of the image, not of the possessor of the image. So if it's like a mirror, the madhar, in the sense that you can see the image of the real person in the mirror. So the mirror is the place, or you can say the locus. Well, madhar comes from the word zahira, all right, making it zahir, right? Madhar, the place where it is zahirized or manifested. So it's that which makes something manifest. That which makes something manifest. So what makes something manifest is the mirror. Okay? Madhar means locus of manifestation, not of the thing manifested. It is like a mirror, which is the locus of the image. The image of who? The person in the mirror. Not of the possessor of the image. Like I'm in front of the mirror, madhar is not the image. It is, all right, the mirror which is the madhar. Okay. Thus, the manifested thing is not contained in the locus of manifestation. From the metaphysical point of view, thus the manifested thing is not contained in the locus of manifestation. From the metaphysical point of view, madhar refers to the form of a thing, whether it be in the intelligible or sensible realm of existence. The intelligible and the sensible refer to the realms of the permanent archetypes and the exterior archetypes respectively. Okay, so permanent archetypes refer, the sensible realm refers to the Harijia, all right, the exterior archetypes. The intelligible refers to the permanent archetypes. In this sense, and with reference to the forms of the intelligible world, the permanent archetypes are the manifestation forms in which are reflected the essential perfections of the ultimate reality that are projected by the most holy effusion of existence in his self-revelation, Tajalli Dhati. These essential perfections are encompassed in his names, whose reflections appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. Similarly, the exterior archetypes are the manifestation forms of the permanent interior archetypes, through which are further projected by means of the holy effusion of existence in his second self-revelation, Tajalli Shuhudi, the concomitants arising out of the forms of his names, their necessary effects become the visible world. All right, the athar, the effect is the empirical world or the physical world. All right, let's go through it. You know, it's very precise. Perhaps in our elaboration just now, we were not so precise, but we get the idea in the sense precise at each level. Okay, then let's look at it. So the madhar is the mirror, not the image in the mirror. So from the metaphysical point of view, all right, start from there. From the metaphysical point of view, madhar refers to the form of a thing, whether it be in the intelligible or sensible realms. The intelligible, all right, and the sensible refer to the permanent archetypes. The Al-Ayyan Athabita refers, the intelligible refers, all right, to the Al-Ayyan Athabita. The sensible refer to the exterior. In this sense, and with reference to the forms of the intelligible world, the permanent archetype are the manifestation forms in which are reflected the essential perfections of the ultimate reality, the essential perfections of the ultimate reality. That is the permanent archetypes, reflections of the manifestation, are the manifestation forms where the essential perfections of the ultimate reality are being projected. All right, and this is the first self-revelation, Tajalli Dhati, first self-revelation. All right, in the sense that it is his self-perfections. These are, and they form the madhar in at the intelligible level. Okay, these are the self-revelation Tajalli Dhati. These essential perfections are encompassed in his names. So this is that level, all right, of fourth degree. Okay, fourth degree, third degree. Fourth degree is the permanent archetypes, the names and attributes. All right, the al-asma, sifat. Okay, these essential perfections are encompassed in his names, whose reflections appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. So the images are the permanent archetypes. So basically, the permanent archetypes are the images, all right, which are a reflection of his divine names, his perfect divine names. And are the similarly images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. Similarly, okay, so here whose reflections appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. So the permanent archetypes, all right, appear, so appear, they are a reflection, because here these essential perfections are encompassed in his name. All right, that's the level of the names. all the perfections of the divine reality are encompassed in the names, whose reflections are in the permanent archetypes. But these reflections, more specific here, appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. Here he put the term images, all right, in inverted commas, because the images, and they are forms still, all right, they are not reflections in the sense of the image like you see yourself in the mirror, and which he explained just now at the top of the page. He says the madhar or the madahir are the mirror, not the images. That's why I suppose he used the word images in inverted commas, because when you say image, there is an image. All right? But here he is saying they are the mirror, not the image, because in a sense, yes, I think because in a sense you cannot, I mean, the perfections of the ultimate reality, all right, the perfections of the ultimate reality cannot be, I mean, if you say image, what is the word? Cannot be visualized. Because in a sense, when you say image, it can be visualized by whatever senses. If not the senses, the 5 external senses, maybe a higher level of senses. All right, so it is the mirror, the form. That's what I understand. All right. So this is what he is saying. So these essential perfections are encompassed in his names, whose reflections appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes. It's a form. And that form, all right, he is saying is the madhar, the locus of manifestation, all right, which is the locus of the image, not of the possessor of the image. So in a sense, you're not saying that you can, God, the permanent archetype reflect God in the sense that it is not the possessor of the image which is reflected, but what is reflected here, it is saying it's like a mirror, which is the locus of the image. So when you say you see the image of yourself in the mirror, all right, when you see the image of yourself in the mirror, here, it is not you, right? That's why, we say, is it you? Yes, it is. But it is also not me, because I am, in whatever form I am in, physical, all right, my body and all that. But what is in the image of the mirror is not in the physical form, does not have a body and all that. But what makes that image possible is the mirror, the madhar, the locus of manifestation. If there was no mirror, you cannot see yourself. So that is what I think Prof is trying to explain here. Okay? I think so. Unless, well, it's a pity we don't have time. It's already 11:30. That's one advantage of being in a physical class, or, we have all the time in the world to talk about metaphysics, which I don't mind. But, time is not on our side. Okay, so we could discuss about this. All right, so in a sense, okay, But we'll stick to this. I mean, okay, so you understand what I have explained, right? In the sense that that's why, is the image you? You will say, yes, it is me. But it is also not me. The real me is outside, right? So, in a sense, you can say it's the same situation. It's a reflection of the divine names. But of course, here, the divine names, all right, the perfections, cannot be revealed in the mirror, the image. That's why he says images in inverted commas. But in relation to us as a physical being, all right, that image is reflected in the mirror. But in relation, at this level of determination, all right, of ultimate, the divine being, it is not. So when you say madahir, it is the locus. In the sense, the mirror, all right, allows for the reflection, all right, of the divine names. That's what I understand. These essential perfections are encompassed in his names. All right, these perfections are basically his names, whose reflections appear as images in the forms of the permanent archetypes, and you call them permanent archetypes. So basically, that is what is al-a'yan al-thabita. They are the madahir, they form the, you see, linguistically we can explain, we can say they form the reflections, all right, they form the reflections of the divine names. But all right, so then after that we continue. So that is the self-revelation of God first in terms of tajalli dhati. Similarly, the exterior archetypes are the manifestation forms. All right, that's why he is very careful in using the word manifestation forms of the permanent, madahir, manifestation forms. Okay, of the permanent interior archetypes through which are further projected by means of the holy effusion of existence in his second revelation, tajalli shuhudi, all right, shuhud, witnessing, shuhudi, witnessed the concomitants arising out of the forms of his names. They are concomitants, all right, of the names. Basically, grounded or rooted in the names. First level, permanent archetypes. Second level, exterior archetypes. Their necessary effects become the visible world. Okay, so just as the two types of manifestation form correspond to the two forms of his self-manifestation, okay, so they also correspond in their existential evolvement to the causal effects of his principal names, the interior, al-batin, and the exterior, al-zahir, the first and the last, al-awal, al-akhir. So on the analogy, okay, let's look at this. On the analogy of the mirror, we see that what becomes manifest in the locus of manifestation, madhar, is the form, not the essence of the thing itself. Like we say, all right, what appears, all right, if we say in relation to the human being, of the person who sees himself, who stands in front of the mirror, all right, that image in the mirror is not the essence, it's not real, right? It's not real. What is real is you looking at the mirror. So basically, it's only the form, not the essence of the thing itself, the hakikat of the thing. However, the case of the absolute existence is different in that all whose manifestations are identical with the loci, loci is the plural of locus, wherein they are manifested, and in all such loci, he is manifested in his own essence. Okay. Okay. So what does that mean? Here, madhar is not a real separate locus in union, as it were, with the absolute existence manifested by it. Not real separate. Nor is the absolute existence immanent, hulul in it. For the madhar does not in itself exist separately for him to be in union with it or to be immanent in it. The madhar in itself is something in the interior condition of being, that is batin. It is essentially non-existent, ma'dum, bizat. So the madhar is in reality the quality of the being manifest, zuhur. It is not a real and separate theater or place of manifestation. Now the becoming manifest, izhar of a thing, is its becoming distinct from another, or is becoming a differentia, as we said earlier, with reference to realities. It is due to the essential property of distinctness inherent in each divine attribute that a reality from among the infinite realities of the divine names become manifest. The madhar then is constituted by the divine attributes, in the same way that the attributes are identical with the essence in reality, but superadded to it in thought, so that the madhar constituted by the attributes is in reality also constituted by the essence in a certain respect, usually referred to here as the truth. Al-Haq in that way too is the truth as absolute. Oh, it's wrong. All right, we forget about that first. Okay, so here, okay, where are we? Okay, this is the part I just want to mention. All right, I have to admit I didn't look through the pages before this class. All right, so it's like I'm trying to sort it out here at this point in time. But don't feel bad. All right, why? You know, the Malays, or before the Malays, the Indians themselves, all right, in the sense of the Indian Sufis, okay, the Indian Sufis, prominently Al-Burhan Puri. All right, it seems that from the Ibn Arabi school, you know, of metaphysics, okay, of wujud, it was 5 determinations, 5 levels of existence. So there was you know, they couldn't understand, then they created 7. Here, Prof made 6, in the sense that I think because he did not include the level of that non-being. Okay, so but here what I'm trying to say, this is the, you would say, the complex, which our mind can get confused. All right, before the effects take place in this empirical world, where we cannot be confused anymore because our senses, all right, can already witness, okay, these origins of the entities in this physical world. All right, it is at this level where that's why there was and therefore they broke it up. But here, I think here Prof also followed, if I'm not mistaken, where the, yes, he broke up. So I'm sorry, so he made it into 6. All right, here, but the martabat tujuh, which I have to check properly, all right, I don't dare say it specifically. There are 7 levels, that's true, but how they break it up, all right, for them to get 7. So basically from the original 5 of Ibn Arabi. Okay, so now that one we can always look at the books and then we can confirm. But right now our existential problem, all right, is to understand, okay, this, what does this for us to concretely understand this level of determination. Okay, so the only way is to repeat reading it. Okay, here it says that the where was it that we similarly, okay, the exterior archetypes are the manifestation forms of the permanent. Okay, that's clear, through which are further projected, okay, by means of the holy effusion, okay, the of existence in his second self-revelation, which is tajalli shuhudi, meaning to the permanent archetypes from the from the permanent archetypes to the exterior archetypes. Okay, their necessary effects become the visible world. So permanent archetypes, then the exterior archetype, then the empirical world. All right, so this is the permanent, the physical world, all right, is the effects of the process of the two, at the 2 higher levels of existence, which is the permanent archetype and the exterior archetype. All right, so that we are clear. By means of the end, it is through the holy effusion. So first revelation, permanent archetype. Second self-revelation, all right, which is tajalli shuhudi. First was tajalli dhati. Then the necessary effects becomes the visible world, just as the 2 types of self-manifestation form correspond to 2 forms of his self-manifestation. So they also correspond in their existential evolvement to the causal effects. All right, so form corresponds. So zahir batin. So I would think that in a sense is the permanent archetypes, the batin, and then the exterior archetypes. All right, so they also correspond to the existential evolvement, to the causal effects of his principles' names. So what, in terms of this evolvement and manifestation, it relates to Allah's name as Al-Zahir wal-Batin, Al-Awal wal-Akhir. So that we understand. Okay, so now on the analogy of the mirror, we see that what becomes manifest in the locus of manifestation, madhar, is the form. all right? Not the essence of the thing itself, all right? That's clear. We see the form, right? In the mirror, we see the form. Here meaning the image. What do we see? But actually, we are not focusing on the image. Remember, he already said the image, in a sense, does not is not the possessor. All right, you are not, because, and that's why he says it is the form, not the essence of the thing itself. Because the essence of the thing itself, in a sense, all right, comes from the reality of the person. Here, I'm giving the analogy of the person. Okay, meaning the reality or the essence of the absolute existence. Okay, so however, the case of the absolute existence is different in that all whose manifestations are identical with the loci wherein they are manifested, and in all such loci, he is manifested in his own essence. All right, so here, in relation to us, that image in the mirror is not us, but in relation to absolute existence, the loci, the madhar, is different in that all whose manifestations are identical with the loci wherein they are manifested, and in all such loci, he is manifested in his own essence. All right? Manifested in his own essence. So when you look at the loci, you will say it is his manifestation, nothing else. It is his manifestation. And that manifestation is nothing but his essence. Because if it is not, then it is something else. Then you cannot say. In a way, it's shirk. Because you are saying attributing something other to him, other than him. Attributing something, all right, other than him. Because you are saying, well, that madahir is not his essence. But here, that madahir, all right, here, they are manifest in all such loci. He is manifested in his own essence. All right, so let's read footnote number 312. Okay, that's is meant the permanent archetypes. So the permanent archetypes, like what we mentioned just now, are the reflections. All right, are the reflections of his names. Right? So here, the names are basically manifestation of his essence. They are. So let's look at 313 here. Footnote 313. Okay, he's manifested in his own essence. That's footnote 312. Okay, by loci is meant the permanent archetypes. Yes, like we said, it's not the image in the mirror, but the mirror in itself. But the mirror, all right, you can say the image is part of the mirror, isn't it? Without the mirror and without the possessor of the image, and if there's just a mirror, all right, then what is it? But in relation to God, it is still a locus. But here, all right, the madahir also includes what is reflected in the mirror. Okay? And that reflection, all right, or you would say the locus. Why? Because the locus is also this something which is confused, it's tricky here. Because if you say about just the madahir, just the mirror in itself, without taking into consideration what is reflection, all right, so here he is saying also, all right, here in footnote 312, by loci is meant the permanent archetypes. This is the Al-A'yan Athabita. And this permanent archetypes, all right, you can say encompass, right, the divine names. Okay. However, okay, here Madhar is not a real separate locus in union, as it were, with the absolute existence manifested by it. So you cannot say it as something which is separate and therefore it is joined or unified with absolute existence. Here, we should take time in analyzing this, because this is where the problem lies, in misunderstanding, all right, the doctrine, all right, of Wahdatul Wujud. Although, the term was not used at all here, but basically when people just talk about it simply, they use the term. All right, they use the term, which was basically didn't come from Ibn Arabi, but the vision is the same, the unity, the oneness, all right, is the same. The term in terms of explaining the doctrine or the concept, okay, came with one of his commentators, Ibn Arabi's commentators. But here, basically, all right, what we are explaining is basically the unity, the divine unity, Tawheed, all right? That would be a more acceptable term, Tawheed. The oneness of being. So this is where the misunderstanding arises at this level. Why? Okay, and so now we look at it. Okay, here Madhar is not a real separate locus where if there is, like you say, this thing and this thing, then they become united. In union, ittihad, as it were, with the absolute existence manifested by it. All right? Not as it were, with the absolute existence manifested by it. So there's no union of the absolute existence, all right, with the madhar. It's not a real separate, because when you talk about union, there must be two separate entities, right? Like united. How, give an example, all right, if maybe, just this bottle, this water, all right, this would be, and if you take this example, all right, that means you can say, no. Okay, like H2O, that would be, an example. All right, you form hydrogen and oxygen unite, all right, and then become water. Is it a good analogy? All right, so it's with the absolute existence manifested by it. All right, it's not a union, as it were, with the absolute. No, is the absolute existence immanent, hulul. So this is where, all right, these two terms are always interpreted and misunderstood. Hulul, it and union, ittihad and hulul. Okay, the hulul is immanent in it. So they say wahdatul wujud, if you hear people, who are not so well informed about Islamic metaphysics, they start accusing, all right, the doctrine where they talk about wahdatul wujud, saying that it is hulul, it is, ittihad, meaning union of the human with the abd with the Rab, right? The human with the Lord. Wrong. Right? Here is why he explained. Here madhar is not a real separate locus, and in it, for the madhar, sorry, where is it? Yeah, as it were, with the absolute existence manifested by it, nor is the absolute existence immanent, hulul in it. For the madhar does not in itself exist separately from him. Is it from or for? In itself exists separate for him to be in union with it. In the sense that when you say something is in union with something else, it is something which is separate. And it is existing for the purpose of the thing. All right, here meaning that if you can say the abd with the rab, it is not in that sense of union. He is saying that of this ittihad. All right, it's not a real separate locus in union, as it were. So it's not separate to be in union with it or to be immanent in it, meaning hulul, meaning that it is in it, okay? As it were, manifested by it, nor is the absolute existence immanent in it. For the madhar does not in itself exist separately for him to be in union. All right, when something is in union, it's as though that it exists separately to be unified to the original, all right, which is not the case. And immanent in the sense that hulul meaning it is in it, in the sense that whatever the madhar, the permanent archetypes, all right, you can say they are part of him. So here he already explained, okay, the madhar in itself, or the madhar in itself is something in the interior condition of being. So you can say the mirror is in him already. Okay, it's not something which is outside of being. Is it something in the interior condition of being, that is batin? It is essentially non-existent. It doesn't have its own existence. It is not a separate existence. All right, it is in him. Then you might say, oh, is it hulul? No, it's not. Okay, so in the sense, all right, it is essentially non-existence, ma'dum bi azad. So essentially it's ma'dum, it's non-existent. But it exists, all right, is something in the interior condition of being. So if being exists, then therefore it exists in the sense, but it's in the interior condition of being, batin. It is essentially non-existent, ma'dum bizat. So the madhar is in reality the quality of the being manifest. So it's the quality. Well, if you say form, okay, being manifest, it is not a real and separate theater or place of manifestation. Okay, so it is a state or a condition of being manifest, which is zuhur. It is not, he is saying, although we use the term locus, it is not a real and separate theater, all right, theater or place of manifestation. Okay, hope I'm not confusing you all. We have to read it, all right. I have to confess, I didn't read it before this class. Okay, so I'm reading it at the same time as you. So this, it means, all right, it is the quality of being manifest. It is not, in a sense, locus as in a separate theater. So in a sense, like that mirror, if you take, that's why I say if, for example, we cannot really apply, all right, we cannot really apply in the mirror as when we look at the mirror here in this physical world, okay? So that mirror is something separate. That mirror is outside of us, all right, reflecting us, right? But here, in relation to absolute being, it is within him. It is within his interior condition. And it is the quality, the condition meaning the being quality, the quality of being manifested. So you can say, all right, so it is not something which is separate, the permanent archetype as being separate from him. That's why, all right, this is very tricky. Is, when we ask, is there a real realm here? When you talk about the degrees of existence, are you saying there's a real realm of al-a'yan al-thabita? Well, yes and no. It has to be real in the sense that it is in the real, the only reality. It is real, but in the realm, it is in him. It is not as though as in immanent in the sense that everything, in the sense that all the permanent archetypes or all the exterior archetypes, and then all the things in the physical world are all contained in him. All right, are all contained in him. No, it is not. All right, remember, creation takes place at every moment. And in a sense, all future states are within, all right, that archetype. So that's the tricky part. And this is the part where, things get misunderstood. So what are you saying? So basically, all right, from what we can speak about and from what we can conceptualize with our mind, you see, that's why in relation to talking about the analogy of the mirror, all right, here. So is the mirror outside of him? No, it is not. It is in him, all right? And therefore, if the mirror is the locus of manifestation, then what is manifestation? What is manifested is his essence, right? This is what it says. Manifested as it, he's manifested in his own essence because it is him. All right. So this is what it means. Okay, just give me a couple of minutes, then we can finish just this part. So the matha is in reality the quality of being manifest. It is not a real and separate theater, all right, or place. Now the becoming manifest, the izhar of a thing, is it's becoming distinct from another, or it's becoming a differential. Because originally it's just a state of oneness. All right. This is how difficult it is to conceptualize, to use mental understanding for this, for metaphysical vision of things. All right. So this is what it means. So here it says that from all is becoming a differential, is becoming distinct from another. So as we said earlier, with reference to realities, it is due to the essential property of distinctness inherent in each divine attribute that a reality from among the infinite realities of the divine names become manifest The madhar then is constituted by the divine attributes. All right? In the same way that the attributes are identical with the essence in reality, but super added to it in thought. All right, here let's look at the footnote 313. What does it mean? The realities or existences subsisting in God's mind. All right, he uses the word God's mind. The possibles, the permanent archetypes are in reality God's attributes. For example, knowledge, will, power, etc. And names, example, knowing, willing, powerful. Although the attributes are not existent in the concrete sense, they nonetheless subsist in the divine consciousness as realities and are subjective to him, while the names become the modes of existence. All right? We do not mean by the expression super added to it in thought what the philosophers understand by the same expression, which they also use. Okay, so perhaps this we can end here, all right, or maybe because then that next sentence, all right, is wrong. The madhar then is constituted by the divine attributes in the same way, all right. So we end at that footnote 314. Okay, because after that the sentence is right up to 315. Okay, so get now it's clear, isn't it? In the sense that the realities subsisting in God's mind, the possibles or the permanent archetypes. So God's mind, is it separate from him? Just like our mind, is it separate from us? So the permanent archetypes are in God's mind. All right, are in reality attributes and names. All right. Although the attributes are not existent in the concrete sense, all right, like for example, the attributes, like if somebody say, you, the quality, they say you are a generous person. The quality of generosity, that's how it is in the divine attribute. But a generous act, you giving a charity, that's a divine act, that's concrete. But the quality, all right, it's not in a concrete sense, but they nonetheless subsist in the divine consciousness as realities and are subjective to him, while the names, although the attributes are not existing, they nonetheless subsist in the divine consciousness as realities and are subjective to him, while the names become the modes of existence. So if I can use the analogy, all right, in terms of the quality, they subsist in him, all right? They, in his divine consciousness, they are realities and subjective to him. For example, the attribute of generosity, okay, in us, if people say you have, how, it's basically like what we study in akhlaq, but on the human level. Okay, so people call you by the name of, he is generous. Those are the names. He is generous. He is honest. He is kind. Those are the names. Where did we get the names? All right, where did we get those? The names is from our acts, because there are effects. We give to charity. We are kind. So those are our actions. All right. But the quality, and that's why we say akhlaq, halq and huluk, or akhlaq in plural. So, but here, the names you call are basically from the qualities which is inside you, which is the soul. All right. Generosity, and the same also here, but in terms of in terms of the absolute existence, all right, the attributes, all right, the names are the knowing, the willing, the powerful, all right. So like us, you know, or powerful king, all right, knowledgeable professor. But the quality or the attributes are non-existent in the concrete sense. The qualities, all right, the names we can know. The effects we can know from the actions. The effects, all right, here. But the qualities, he is saying, is in the divine consciousness. And here the qualities, you can say in the soul. The fada'il, the sifat mahmudah, sifat mazmumah, right, when you study ethics. So this is what it means. So the madhal then is constituted by the divine attributes, constituted by the divine attributes. What constitute the madhal? Divine attributes. Okay, wallahu alam. All right, I'm very sorry I cannot answer the questions. Already 12:12. Like the architect who has the idea to build a building, then he proceed to draw the general plan, blueprint, then detailed drawing, and then the contractor physically build it. All right, this is the analogy which who gave right, Afsana. Yes, in a sense true, but the architect, the architect, the planner, the contractor, all is absolute existence in relation to God. All right, everything. But here, you know, it's all separate entities. And here, the blueprint, the plan, everything is in His divine consciousness. And everything, whatever the contractor does, okay, right from the original, is already in him. If, for example, in relation to the contractor, all right, he still have to transfer it. All right, and it is at a different level. All right, so anyway, then second, does the concept of answer fit in the category of permanent archetypes? Okay, that one, I think here we haven't got to it yet. All right, and I have forgotten. I don't want to commit myself to that specific question. Perhaps it's at the level, there is an answer here. Okay, perhaps in the next class. The permanent, no, it cannot be. All right, because that's the divine names. Perhaps it is still at the level, and this is another complicated, the level of the al-insanul kamil. Okay, so sometimes that's why some of the scholars, they laugh when the ministry before, education ministry, say, you know, we want to create al-insanul kamil. All right, so anyway, that one we can talk about it later. No, it's not the category of permanent archetypes, right? Because that is the permanent archetypes, the level of the divine attributes. It's like the perfect specification were already created by Allah and later by qadar and qadar manifested in this world. Yes, in the sense that qadar is the, you know, what happens in this world, but it's already, all right, in him. Thank you. All right, so anyway, wallahu alam, we have to finish. Okay. Okay, alhamdulillah. Wa ma taufiqi illa billah. So alhamdulillah wahdahu wa bihi nasta'in. We will continue, inshallah, in whatever form, you know, we'll consider the practical implications and all that, and you will be informed, all right, whether a class, the classes, I would think we can continue, but in terms of the form, the organizers, or we organize, or whatever, all right, that one, we will, we are not, it's not in our consciousness like how it is in the divine consciousness, in the sense, all right, will this class take place, all right, in that sense, but future classes, inshallah. So thank you very much, all right, for attending, participating in the class, and asking the questions. All right. So in a sense, it's also very important for me to manifest. All right, to articulate. You would say what have always been, because we never had a class in Islamic metaphysics in the sense of really focusing on metaphysics. Is more general, more, you can say, diluted in terms of the courses that are being offered in Usuluddin here. We are really, immersing ourselves in the text, and in a language, all right, which is contemporary in a sense. Of course, the terms are all from classical scholars, but here Prof has made it comprehensive and comprehensible, all right, to us, at least, at our level of understanding and knowledge. All right. So inshallah, we'll see you when things have been sorted out, even if, for example, not in the near future, like within, we will inform you. All right. I think Majlis Ta'lim An-Nur, Brother Hubaib, all right, he has your emails, all right, to inform you of whatever new developments. All right. So Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Fi amanillah. See you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Doctor,
Thank
for
you.
your guided reading.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.